We are now an oil exporting country. Fracking produced a lot of this, and there's a lot of questions around how long fracked oil will last. But we've got that, and then of course there's the pipeline oil coming from Canada and whatnot. But we are now an oil exporting country. We do not need to go to war on behalf of Saudi Arabia. We don't need their oil. China and India do. And, maybe if they want to go to war with Iran, and the word on the street, the word I'm hearing is that Mohammed bin Salman, Mr. Bonesaw, MBS, has actually been saying to people around him, hey, war with Iran wouldn't be such a bad idea. Their war with Yemen is not going well at all. I mean, they've killed tens of thousands of people, thousands of children. And they have literally millions, perhaps as many as 10 million people who are on the verge of starvation. You've got the world's largest outbreak of cholera going on. All of this happening in Yemen right now because Saudi Arabia decided that they were going to intervene in a civil war. Because the people who were winning the civil war were Shia Muslims, not Sunni Muslims. And now the Yemenis fought back and bombed Saudi Arabia. Now, whether they did it with the help of or via Iran, who knows? Or Iraq, for that matter, which has now become a client state of Iran, although we still have soldiers there, and that's pretty weird. But George W. Bush's war in Iraq basically turned Iraq over to Iran. So anyhow, wherever this came from, now Donald Trump is saying, well, I'm waiting to hear from the king about what we will do. Or from the kingdom, he said, actually, from the prince. It's remarkable. What happened to our Constitution? Meanwhile, here in the United States, if we want to reduce our dependence on foreign oil, or any oil for that matter, and if we want to clean up our environment and save the world from melting down, we need electric cars, and in order to have electric cars, we need charging stations, right? Once there's enough charging stations around, people will start thinking, wow, I could easily have an electric car. They have incredible pickup. I mean, you stomp the pedal down on an electric car, and you get pinned back in your seat. They have pickup. You can't get that kind of torque out of a gasoline engine. You just can't do it, literally. Not without an enormous number of gears. So now you've got the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers, which is a trade group for the gasoline manufacturers, are filing comments against plans in Kansas and Missouri, and they opposed a plan in Colorado to have more charging stations, more electric charging stations. In Illinois and Iowa, American Petroleum Institute joining with Americans for Prosperity, the Koch thing, to oppose utilities' electric vehicle investments. This is from an article in Politico by Gavin Bade, by the way, titled "The Oil Industry versus the Electric Car." The Western States Petroleum Association has opposed utility charging plans in Arizona. Americans for Prosperity is opposing these as well as electric vehicle legislation in California. And in Maryland, API aligned with convenience stores, gas stations, and truck stop owners to stop utilities' electric vehicle plans. All over the country, we've got organizations that make their money off or are aligned with people who make their money off fossil fuels fighting against electric utilities putting up charging stations for cars. It is absolutely bizarre. And meanwhile, you've got 26 states now that have electric vehicle fees, making it more expensive. So, by 2040, we could have 40% of our cars being electric, which would be great, except that these people are fighting the hell out of this. I think they would much rather we went to war to protect Mohammed bin Salman and Saudi oil than save the planet by having electric cars.